Course creators, coaches, and experts. If you've been told to just sell a digital product, but your sales still fell flat, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm not only showing you 27 digital products that actually sell in 2025, but how to bundle them into offers that your audience just simply can't resist. We're not just talking PDFs and courses here. I'm going to walk you through the learning ladder framework, which shows you how to go from basic to brilliant so that you stop creating content and start creating cash flow. Let's get it. Let's start here. What is a product? A product is a single asset. It could be a PDF, a template, a podcast, a course. And here we're thinking info product, meaning information product that delivers information rather than a physical product that you can hold in your hand. An offer, however, is a curated experience. It's a stack of the right products in the right order so that you're getting your students a transformation. And while many of these could be info products, meaning again, you're delivering information, you might also have a little service in there. Service is anything that requires your or your team's time to fulfill. So a self-paced course might be a product. Students buy it, they log in, they get the information, and they leave. An offer, on the other hand, might be a bundle of that self-paced product with some live trainings. That could be kind of considered a service because it does require your or your team's time to fulfill on it. A custom GPT. And let's add one more. Let's say we also included an action guide. Now you have an offer. If you've been in the digital marketer world and you've been studying things like products and offers, then you may know that you could take that self-paced product over there and sell it by itself. And you don't have to bundle it with anything else. And in that way, it would just be an info product as the offer. What I'm seeing in the market work right now is not that, especially if you're just getting started. If you're getting started, you want to make it more of a fleshed out offer with other elements to it, other program elements than just the self-paced product itself. Now, I want to introduce you to the learning ladder framework, which is our way to have a chat about what it is you're actually selling, what is the product you're creating, how transformational is it really, using Bloom's Taxonomy, which is an educational framework that helps you understand the depth of your students' transformation, and the delivery level, meaning is this self-paced, right? And it's just information, or are there some kind of services involved that provide more support and accountability to your students? So let's walk through it. We have our triangle, okay? But there's multiple sides to this triangle, so it's really a pyramid, but you got that already, didn't you? Now, on one side, we have the level of Bloom's Taxonomy. So like I said, Bloom's Taxonomy is an educational framework, okay? And it helps you understand the transformation that your students are receiving. On the bottom level of Bloom's Taxonomy, we have something called remember. This is the lowest level, the least transformational of Bloom's Taxonomy. Not saying that it's not transformational at all, but it is lower on the transformational end of things. This is when a student can recall or recognize basic information. So if you have a candle making course, then you would want them to remember what ingredients go into their candles, right? That would be something that they would need to remember. Next level, we have understand. This is when they can explain the ideas in their own words, meaning I don't just know what ingredients to use or even the process to create my candles from your awesome candle making course, but I could also explain it to a friend. Okay, understand. Then we have level 3, which is apply. This is where things start to get exciting. This is when they can use that knowledge that they've learned from your program in real world settings. So that means I can actually go and make my candles. Then we get into the next layer, layer 4, which is analyze. When you analyze something, you want to break it apart. You want to make comparisons. So for example, I can see that if I'm using soy candles versus beeswax candles, then I need to use different temperatures to melt the wax down, right? So we're talking here about really breaking things down and making comparisons between different things. Then we have evaluate. When you evaluate something, you're critiquing it or judging it based on strategy. So if I come back to my candle making example, if I want to evaluate the level of fragrance, there may be different tests I can do to check that out, right? So again, here you're critiquing or you're judging something based on strategy. And finally, we have create, which is building something completely new. In my candle making example, that would be going out on my own, building a candle that's not a recipe based on a recipe I was given. I might be using completely different ingredients that I didn't even learn in your course, but now I have a mastery over this concept of candle making that I can go make my own decisions and choices. Okay, so this is a level of Bloom's taxonomy, right? Helps you understand how deep a learner's transformation goes. What I've learned after doing a lot of programs is most of my clients stop here. They actually stop at the understand phase. They measure their students' success by, okay, well, do they know the information? Now, they would argue with me, and maybe you're arguing with me in your brain right now, like, Jasmine, yeah, I want my students to understand, but I want to see them apply it because everybody knows that action is where transformation happens. And, whatever regurgitated self-help phrase you want to parrot back at me, which is cool, great, awesome. And most of my clients, when they come to me, especially if they're coming to me with a program and we're revamping it, they have not given their students clear pathways to apply their learning. They haven't given them clear, tangible action steps to actually go and do the thing they're asking them to do. So that's why I say a lot of my clients, they think they're here, but they're not. They're usually just creating learning experiences that are designed for remembering and understanding. What I've also discovered is that dependent on your topic, it might be required that you work up the chain. I mean, sure, do we want all of our students to be able to hit that create level where they're building something new? Yes. But the truth is, for a lot of programs, the students don't want that. Like, they just want to be able to plug and play your templates, which is more down here in the application and analysis mode, maybe evaluating depending on what the topic is. But there's other topics where we have to move them up. Even like for some of my real estate education programs, evaluation is like honestly the whole point of the program. So it's really key to consider, where do you want your students to absolutely hit? I would argue that application is a must for everyone, but how much do you want to encourage them to hit these other things, right? It's good to consider. All right, now let's lay this across the other sides of this triangle. Now, keep in mind that this is cumulative, so you can't jump straight to create. You've got to start at the bottom and then build your way up, right? So I can't go create a new candle if I don't understand the ingredients that I need to have for my candle, right? So we have to think of this in terms of it's all cumulative when we're learning, and there's a way to scaffold students to go from remembering to creating, or remembering to whatever level of this triangle you're trying to get to. I will say that when we think about support structures, that is where we can get into the higher levels of the triangle. So for example, if you have any DIY products, then you're probably on the first two levels. Now keep in mind that there's a bit of an art to this, so that what I'm writing here is not hard and fast. Like, you could have an application product that is a self-paced program that's still technically DIY. Okay, so this is not hard and fast, but I'm just giving you the general trends. Now, if you're in the done with you side, that's usually the next 3 layers. Okay, so that means like you have a group coaching program, or you have some kind of guidance inside of your program. You're working up the tier. And that's because you need feedback mechanisms in order to know if you're evaluating something correctly. Whether that feedback mechanism is a human or some kind of AI tool, like, you need a feedback mechanism in order to know how well you're doing those 3 levels. All right. And then finally, we have the done for you. And we have the one-on-one, which I'm putting both of them here. One-on-one, again, goes back to this kind of gray area of, if you have a brand new client and they are so green in what you teach, like they've never even smelled a candle, okay, then you're going to have to start at the bottom. Versus if you have someone come in who is more advanced, maybe they've made just soy wax candles and they're trying to create new things, with different kinds of wax. Well, now you're helping them move up the chain faster. So done one-on-one is, you can slide up and down this scale as necessary, which is why done on one-on-one is the most expensive. It's why you have the fewest spots, because it is completely 100% personalized. All right, moving along. All right, now we're at the 27 products that sell in 2025. Oh my gosh, you made it here. Good job. You now remember and understand all the things you need to know so that you can apply it. See what I did there? Okay, so we're going to break them down by category with examples of where they fit into this learning ladder module. Learning ladder framework. This isn't a module, it's a framework. Okay, so first one is downloadables. I know, it's a really fancy word, isn't it? Downloadables are great for awareness. They're perfect lead magnets. They're really good introductory offers. They're taking your students from remembering into understanding, so that they're like, oh yeah, this guy, this gal, he knows what he's talking about, so that then they want to ascend and buy more of your stuff so they can learn how to apply and then get the results. So here's some examples of those. We've got ebooks, cheat sheets, checklists, swipe files. Swipe files, if you're not familiar, are pieces of content that you can swipe from the expert that you're learning from and then plug into your own business or life. So in my upcoming program that I'm launching, all of my students are getting the swipe files of my entire launch. So they're getting my checkout page copy, they're getting my email campaign copy, they're getting my, like, literally all of my launch content, so that they can swipe it and just shift it a little bit to fit their audience and their avatar. Swipe file. And we also have PDF download. And people talk crap on the PDF download nowadays, but I have one PDF download that is responsible for the majority of the opt-ins on my email list, which is 10 next level strategies to make your course as binge worthy as Netflix. And it's really good content, but like, it's a list of 10 things to make your course binge worthy, and people love it. They love to know, okay, what are small little things they could do to make their course more engaging. So PDF downloads. If you don't have a lead magnet, PDF download is the easiest place to start. Moving on to our next category, which is template-based products. These are meant to be DIY, so you don't have to do anything to fulfill on them, but there's elements of personalization to it. This is really great for helping your students implement fast and save time, which, if you know anything about offers, like, those are the juiciest offers, because people get results really fast. It's just usually a heck yes kind of offer. Now, as far as blooms, they take your students usually from the understand to apply phase. Not always, but I'd say usually. And here are some examples. Canva templates. If you're using any kinds of graphics that your students could use, why wouldn't you include those? Notion templates. Really any kind of like project planning board. So it doesn't have to be Notion. It could be ClickUp. It could be Asana. It could be any kind of project planning template that they can then install and use is really great. Funnel templates. If they get to swipe anything from your funnel, plug it into their business, and then input their copy, great example of a template-based product. Email templates, same idea here. KPI dashboards, especially if they're niche, meaning like your candle business KPI dashboard that is specifically for a candle company, way more valuable than just a generic KPI dashboard. Budget templates, same idea here. And revenue calculators. Believe it or not, it is so easy to make these custom now. I already made one for my launch. It took me, like an hour, and helps people see the ROI on joining our program. So if you want to check that out, we'll have a link below. I can't say enough about, again, these fast little template-based products that you don't have to spend a lot of time building, because you're usually versioning it off of something that you already have, and they help your students get results fast. So if you don't have these, really great next step for you. Moving right along. Now we have AI-based products. Now this kind of could be DIY. It could be done with you. This is one of those that could fit in either place, but it essentially allows you to build your authority while being innovative. Most people right now are, believe it or not using AI. If they are, they're using it poorly with just like ChatGPT and haven't actually taken the time to learn how to optimize and leverage it to its fullest extent. So when you do things like creating an AI-based product and bundling it with others to create an offer, you're really going to stand out. So now is the time. If you're going to do that, get on the train now. Highly encourage it. Now, in terms of how this fits into Bloom's taxonomy, it takes us a couple places. It takes us from understanding to application really fast. It can also take us from understanding to analyzing if we want, based on what the AI product is that we're building. Here's some examples. First, we have prompt packs. You've probably seen these on the internet. Really simply, it's a way to use other people's prompts to learn how to work with ChatGPT or whatever AI-based system you're working with. Okay. So, for example, in my membership, my students receive my YouTube prompts. So all of these videos that I create, I have a series of prompts that I use to repurpose it. Once the video is done, it gets turned into a blog, and it gets turned into an Instagram carousel and a LinkedIn newsletter, and like all these different assets. Now, it took me a long time to get those prompts right so that they produce high quality content in that first shot. And it all comes down to prompt. That little resource that I gave them just by putting my prompts into one bundle pack is going to save them hours and hours and hours. It does save them hours and hours and hours. So again, prompt packs. That's number one. Number two is custom GPTs. Now the use cases for this are endless. I'll just give you one example. We have an onboarding agent custom GPT. When we give the link out, which you can get, it's for free. It's a free of ours. It will create with just a little information about your offer that you feed it with. Then it will create your welcome video script, your welcome email sequence copy, and your onboarding questionnaire. So again, you give it some information and then poof, it spits out all of these deliverables for you that are completely related to leveraging the best practices that we've discovered after building over 120 programs. So rather than you just going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, write my onboarding email, which ChatGPT is pulling from, it's pulling from the entire internet, which could be not so great. And it's pulling from all of the use cases in the internet versus just pulling from our knowledge base as a course creation agency. And finally, we have AI workflows. So think of a workflow as like, if this happens, then that happens. Pretty cool. And AI has like taken that on steroids. I'm not going to get into all of it right now, but just know most processes in your businesses now can be automated with workflows. However, it is a skill to figure out how to use them. It's a skill to figure out how to use the tech, the logic behind setting up a workflow. So what you could do if you were into this, and if it was valuable to your students to have certain workflows, like let's say I have my candle making business and people put in orders and there's some kind of workflow that needs to happen after someone submits an order. Well, I have that workflow in my business, and then I can hand it off to my students so they can install it in their business without having to figure out how to do it. So without getting too much into the weeds, just know that one, that exists. So most things in your business can be automated now. And two, if you are optimizing your business in that way and you have students that could leverage that workflow too, great thing to bundle into your offer or just sell on its own. So pause for a little recap. These are the 5 downloadables. These are the 7 template-based products. These are the 3 AI-based products. How's your math? Do you know what we're at? 15. Now let's move on to self-paced programs. Self-paced programs are great for teaching your method at scale. And they often take students from remember to apply at minimum. As I said earlier in the video, it can take them higher, but it just depends. And normally it takes them from remember to apply. Some examples of self-paced programs include mini courses. Mini courses are usually 45 minutes to an hour. I have other trainings about the different kinds of courses, okay? But just know that they're usually short, sweet, to the point. You want someone to have to watch it one time and get the result, okay? Mini course. Then we have signature courses. These are longer. They're usually 3 to 5 hours, and it's your true method, like the main thing that you teach. So our upcoming program that launches on July 22nd through my priority waitlist, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is link in the description, is a signature course. Okay, we're teaching people how to build their own program. I'm so stoked. All right, signature courses. Another example is a podcast series. I meant private podcast series. So if your folks are big into podcasts, they listen to podcasts, then I would recommend maybe doing a private podcast series. It's also an easier self-paced program to build because you don't have to do all the visuals of like if you use slides or workbooks or like any of those things, and it lives in their podcast player. So if you have a private podcast feed, they open up Apple Podcasts or Google Play and they click on your podcast, but because it's private, nobody can see it except for those people who've bought it. Okay, it's a tech thing. We don't have to get into that right now. Just know that it is an option for you, which gives us our 3 self-paced options. And now we are at 18. Are you keeping track? Now we're at 18. Moving right along into guided programs. Now, if it's guided, that means that A, you are the guide or someone on your team is the guide. And guidance allows for accountability, peer support, and truly a much deeper level of transformation. I like to see like guided programs at least get into the evaluate phase. That's my goal for them, is that we're getting up into the evaluate phase where they feel confident making decisions based on data that they're getting about whatever it is that they are doing. So back to my candle making example, if they're going to evaluate, it's knowing, okay, well, I wonder why this candle turned out better than that candle, and being able to uncover why that was and then make new decisions as a result of that new knowledge. The simplest, most common guided program is some kind of a group coaching program. I will say this can also be group consulting. I think we use group coaching because we see it a lot, but coaching is different than consulting. Coaching is a lot more about asking questions, doing exercises, doing mindset work. So if you're not trained in that kind of thing and you don't have experience with that kind of thing, maybe you want to call it group consulting or group implementation calls or something different, because coaching is a very specific skill set. Okay, word to the wise there. Group coaching. Then we have live trainings. These are special because when you're teaching live trainings, students aren't left with their own questions staring at the computer screen with no one there to ask. And so that's really the benefit of a live training, is that your students can be on live with you, be a part of the energy with you, spend their time doing it right then, right there, without the other distractions that come with just hitting play on a video. Next, we have community access. This isn't a community training, so I'm going to really try and rein myself in on community. However, know that communities are not just let me throw up a Facebook group and see if anybody posts. Okay, there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of investment of time, investment of energy that goes into having a really successful community. So don't just slap it on your program because you see everybody else has it. Okay, truly commit to community if you're gonna, or don't commit to community if you're not gonna. Fourth, we have workshops. You can think of workshops as implementation time live with you. You can put people in the hot seat during a workshop where you're working through it live with them. In teaching, we have a very well-known framework called I do, we do, you do. So first, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you how to do this teaching topic, this technique, this whatever it is I'm going to show you. Then we do, meaning we're going to do some together as a group before we go off to our own individual locations, and you do it. So I do, we do, you do. And most people in self-paced programs, they're skipping from I do to you do. And without that we do element, depending on what the content matter is, students are not set up for success. And so implementation trainings like this can be really, really powerful for that. In our upcoming program, I'm doing implementation trainings for pretty much everything. The students are getting the remember and the understand content ahead of time. They're even getting an application tool because most of pretty much the whole thing has an AI tool associated with it. And then, right, when we up level along this pyramid, I'll give you the visual here, into analyze and evaluate, the best way for me to teach that is live. If I have someone give me a course outline that they've generated, I can help them understand my thinking as I'm analyzing and evaluating something to help so that then they can go make those decisions for their own trainings. So, or I'm sorry, for their own outlines. And yeah, I guess for their own trainings too. So, can't say enough about implementation workshops, but again, it has to be done with intention. And last but not least, we have challenges. Everybody thinks of challenges like free challenge. And like you can totally do a free challenge and similar to a webinar and get people into your program. It's a launch method. It's great. It definitely works for a lot of audiences. However, you can also do challenges for your students to help them achieve a thing inside of a container that's really supportive and holds people to a high level of accountability, and there's natural engagement and excitement. So I highly recommend considering doing a challenge for an element of your program. The challenge could be your whole program, but the purpose of this challenge is not to sell them into something. The purpose of this challenge is the primary purpose of this challenge is not to sell them into something. The primary purpose of this challenge is to support them in getting to an outcome, a result. Okay, so there you have it. There's 5, and these are the guided programs. Okay, guided programs. Next up, we have certification programs. I'm not sure, you might be certified in something. You can also certify other people in your method. This is great if you want to do a licensing model and you want to have certified trainers underneath you. It's great if you have advanced students too, right? They might want to rep your brand. They might want to work for your brand. They might want to just leverage your training and content in whatever it is they're doing in their life and career. Now, the goal of certification is to take them up to create, right? We want them to take your certification training and then leverage it in the ways that you have designed, but also create their own thing from it. Okay. So there's really only one way here. There's really only one thing that you can do, which is a structured cert program. I haven't done a lot of training on YouTube on certification programs. I've built certification programs, but I find that it's more of an advanced strategy. So if you want information on that, then drop a comment below and let me know that. I will do it. I just don't know if there's enough demand yet, because you have to have the audience to make it make sense. And yeah, it's more advanced. Okay, so there's only one there. Moving on, we're at our top tier, which again is the one-on-one and the done for you. There's a lot of different kinds of offers you can do with your one-on-one. This is for people who want to highly personalize, like as personalized as you get offer, and they're willing to invest in it. We have private coaching or consulting, whichever one fits your brand and your brain more. But yeah, private coaching. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have some kind of curriculum for your one-on-one. In fact, I usually recommend it. If you have let's say an 8-week private coaching program, well, generally, what are the checkpoints you should be having over the course of that 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long it is? And what are the exercises you want all of your one-on-ones to do versus some of them? Like having some of those tools is going to make your private coaching or consulting really powerful. But again, it is really personalized. So if you have 100 files in your brain, you get to pull out whichever one they need at that given time. That's the power of it. Next, we have strategic intensives. Think about this as like one-on-one coaching, but rather than, let's say, once or twice a month for however long the container is, it's a VIP day or a VIP weekend or any kind of just intensive container. And it could be strategic, but I recently did an energy intensive. So it doesn't really matter what your topic is. The purpose of this is they get a lot of time with you within a small window so they can move really fast. And finally, we have done for you builds. Now, obviously, I have a done for you course creation agency, so I love this. I love agency work. I love done for you work. It's like super satisfying and like really lights me up. But most people don't. That's all I'll say is most people don't, or they try it and then they don't love it. So keep that in mind if you're intending to add a done for you component to your offer, test delivering that and actually doing it with one person before you go and launch it. Okay. And there's our 3. And now you have the whole triangle. So this is your menu. Okay. This is your menu of options that you can use to consider what to bundle into your offer. For example, let's say that you are building an AI-powered client onboarding system, and you bundle a checklist with a prompt pack with a custom GPT and a 3-part live training series. Now, I don't know how much a checklist sells for, or even if it sells nowadays, but maybe that's $7. And let's say your prompt packed separately, you could sell that for $27. And your custom GPT, you could also sell that for $27. And your 3-part training series, you sell that for $47. Oh, the math of it. So that's $108. Okay, if you sold all of those separately. But when you put them together, the promise is so much bigger. So together, I don't know what you sell it for, but it's definitely more than that. I'm thinking maybe $297. Okay, we can also debundle. So let's say you built this program and it does really well, but you need a new lead magnet. Well, you could just take that checklist and sell it separately. Or let's say your business really right now, it needs some kind of tripwire. Well, you just take that prompt pack, sell that as your tripwire. Or let's say you need a pre-launch nurture tool like Stat for a separate program, something different you're doing. Well, you just take, training number 2, and that becomes your pre-launch nurture, right? So it's really not about building more stuff. Everybody says like, oh, I got to add more and more and more and more and more. It's not. It's about building strategically. For example, I know I need to build a self-paced easy yes offer. I'm going to do it based on beta launching. So how to beta launch your program. And I realized the signature program that I'm launching in just a couple weeks in July, that will be a really great bonus for that program. So I'm bonusing in that program. I'll get paid to build it, and then I'll go and sell it separately as a downsell. So really, you got to stop thinking about more and more and more stuff and really sit down and think strategically. If this is your list of 27 different product ideas, cool. Of those, what do you want to bundle together, or what do you already have that you could debundle and then position it in different spaces inside of this triangle? Not just for the sake of moving them up from remember to create. That's great. But we also want to think about moving them up this ascension model, because down here, you're getting some money, but up here, you're making some money, honey. Which makes sense, because the promise of these programs as you go up is bigger. The reward is bigger for them. Now listen, before I go, I want to give you one note on naming, which is all of these 27 products can be called something completely different. For example, let's say you are a dog trainer and you sell a checklist on all the things that mom and dad dog parents need to know in order to get their dog to walk nicely on a leash. You could call it the Leash Confidence Action Guide, but when you open it up, it looks like a checklist. So all of these words that I've used have been to help you clearly connect with what. Like, what is this thing that I'm talking about? But you can always shift the titles, the names, and the copy to be more persuasive in your marketing. In fact, you probably should. So now you know what's selling. Now listen, start with what you already have, okay? And then layer it up with intention. Let me know in the comments which product you are starting with, or how you plan to create an offer stack out of some of the ones I've mentioned here. And if you want help building and bidding and putting together your next offer, check the description below. I am launching my new program in just a couple weeks, and you can get on the priority wait list. Spots are limited. I'm literally only taking 20 people, and the investment is as little as it's ever going to be. It is a steal. My friends think I'm crazy, but I'm doing it anyway. And if this video got your wheels turning. Like, wait, I have all these pieces and I didn't realize I could sell them like this. Then smash that like button, hit subscribe, share it with a friend who's out there trying to turn a Google Doc into a business. You know the one. I'm Jasmine Jonte. This is the Course Flow to Cash Flow Show, and I will see you in the next one.